Hello, my name's Graham Wales and welcome to the next section in our Joining the Dots and Managing Your Mantras. So, a common question for us to debate: to zero or not to zero? Well, actually, that's not really the question. You see, the zero bit is around an awful lot, and we've all been there. You know, we've all worked in companies that have had our safety first, our world-class safety, our zero harm, etc. And we've all seen various applications of it. And is it a goal? Is it a target? How do we get zero harm? How do we get 100% safety? And for me, the reality is that isn't really the right question, because the people that operate effectively with zero harm in their business largely think about the same about it as the people that hate zero harm. See, they're not unrealistic. They don't think they're aiming to be living and working in the Care Bears movie, but they also know that they're not living and working on the Game of Thrones either. You know, they know they have to operate in the real world. So it begs the question, well, if zero is unattainable and we're not on the Game of Thrones, where should it be? Well, the individual question of where we think it is can be very subjective and probably not that helpful when we think about it. So what I want to do is explore why we should really think about this collectively in a more group environment. If we think about how risk assessment's supposed to work with people of various backgrounds and various roles participating collectively, here's why that's really important. Because if we've got the manager that thinks it's a really high standard and the supervisor thinks, yeah, it's not too bad, but we've got a difference of opinion, and the guy doing the job thinks it's pretty much 50-50, that becomes a problem. And one of the reasons why there is an expectation that people talk about where we are in terms of safety, we genuinely understand, and we use processes such as safety walks to have open two-way discussion, and we use investigations to thoroughly understand, is because what we're trying to do is get this real-world understanding where we've got some alignment and agreement on where we actually are. And it's not really where we are that's the most important. It's what where we are identifies. And that's the gap that's still left between where we are and what we're prepared to tolerate. And the reason why it's really important that we understand and share this is because when we all look at what is left, so what is the residual risk we're going to have to manage dynamically, that risk actually gets a little bit safer. Never do we sit down and have a communication where we agree to be less safe. We intuitively end up helping each other to close that gap just a little bit more so that we can really understand and manage the closure of that gap, and we're working as safely as we can, accepting that it's still the real world and we are going to have to make decisions, and occasionally we're going to have to put our hand up and stop and ask for further help. But most of the time, by doing that, we're able to operate perfectly safely and adaptably within a successful conclusion of the task. So there's the dots that we started with. Hopefully we've put a bit of few lines to them and we've separated them out. We've helped make some sense of them. And it's important that we try and do that. And this is my reflection over 38 years. Because what I've found is some of the tools of safety have been around a good while. You know, some of those models are older than me. And now some new ideas are very popular too. And you can see them all used in ways that add value, but you can also see them all used in ways that don't. Because there's no silver bullet to this. You know, it doesn't matter if it's old or new or one or two, or you're doing safety traditionally or safety differently. The reality is, if you're using the tools that you have in a way that's helping you understand the things that have happened, recognise what's happening around you now, and influencing what needs to happen, then you'll be doing safety properly. And by doing safety properly, you'll have a clearer understanding of your current culture, which should enable you to map a clear improvement plan. You'll have ideas to build increased competency for safety at all levels of your organisation and in different roles. You'll have the ability to use leading indicators to improve your performance improvement, which then will ensure that you get results of proper integrity. So you'll have investigations that really enlighten, safety walks that really engage, and risk assessments that do facilitate success. So if you'd like to discuss any of these things, safety culture review, improvement planning, intervention programs, competency development, the development of leading and lagging indicators and the assurance of them, investigations that enlighten, safety walks that engage, and risk assessment that facilitate success, or in fact anything else you'd like some help with, you can get me at graham@safetyproperly.com,